Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm going to give you a quick update on what's going on here in the garage and why that's on the tow truck. Bit windy out today, so hopefully the wind noise doesn't come through the mic. However, had a lot of questions lately regarding the truck more than anything, and also a little bit on the Commodore and that, and why I've got the Jeep and what I plan on doing with all my cars and that now. So rewind back a while now, I think Jan 2019 is when I first picked up this, the F350, did a mountain of work on it. Basically, I mean, I wouldn't count this as a restoration because the truck's still neat, but it's not concourse or anything. It's neat enough to drive around and do what you need to do, but I basically upgraded and changed every single thing on this in order to, if we had to drive to Willowbank on it, it could have made it up there and back, and I wouldn't have had to, worry about things that have replaced. So we did every single thing which you would have seen over in Full Boost and on here on my channel and that too and that. But after I finished it, essentially, I did the long drive. I'd never driven to Heathcote from where I live now. I've never driven my race car since I've lived at Montrose, which is, basically 3 years now, sort of thing. Time's passed, and I haven't been able to race because obviously we haven't been able to race the last 2 years.
Why are you so scared, little boy?
The drive to Heathcote now is a little bit over 2 hours. There is a lot of really twisty, windy roads, depending on the road and the avenue I go. If I go a back way, if I go a front way, there's also a lot of hills in that too. So after I finished this, I drove it a few times, and it just the torque is there, the capacity to carry and tow is there, but the snobbery isn't there. And by that I mean sort of the creature comforts, the ice cold instant air conditioning, the red hot heater.
I've made a huge mistake.
The things that this has got that I've even now improved upon with the Jeep just aren't here with this. And that's fair enough. This is the 1976 F350. It's a truck, so I didn't expect it that. But just driving a few times, I drove it in a couple of days when it was in the high 20s. I drove it for about 10 or 15 minutes and I could feel my back absolutely starting to sweat and a few things like that.
I want a goddamn liter of cola.
And I was just like, I just realized that I'm getting a bit older, and when I've raced, you've driven, might get up at like say 6:30 in the morning or whatever, leave here at 7 in the morning, drive 2 and a bit hours to Heathcote, race all day, and maybe leave Heathcote after you've packed up everything at, it could be like 5 o'clock at night, and then driving home and not getting home till say 7:30 at night. That's a long day, and that 2.5 hour drive home, I just want to be in absolute comfort, and I don't want to be fighting like the car. This car you sort of have to be on. It's got very high center of gravity with the truck, with the car on the back loaded, and you sort of have to be aware of where you're driving. It's a big old truck. The brakes aren't like a brand new car with Brembos and that or anything, so you have to be a bit more aware of your surroundings, a bit more alert and that kind of stuff. And if you're just a little bit tired and fatigued in that, it's probably not ideal in terms of that. It doesn't have lane assist, and doesn't have all this kind of park assist and crash alert and all this kind of stuff, or airbags for that matter either.
There we go. Perfect timing.
So essentially that's the reason why I'm moving on the F350. It is actually for sale now. You might have seen it on Facebook Marketplace, but it's not the only car of mine that's for sale. So yes, as you can probably see here, the VF Redline is also for sale. The reason for selling this is just because this is my daily driver. There's been a huge amount of people actually that whenever I mention that I own this, they say, "Are you going to keep it? Oh, that's a future classic. You should keep that. It's a good investment." But to me, first of all, I've already got enough bloody cars. I've got the 929, which you'll see later. I've got the RX-7. I've got the Jeep. I've got the VF at the moment, and the F350 is still here. So I've also got something else on the way, which hopefully you'll see in a couple of weeks. So, the track down to the garage is essentially a one-lane driveway. So it is complete Castle, the movie sort of stuff to get a car out. I've got to move the, I've got to move the Commodore to get to the Jeep, to move the Jeep, to move the F350, to get to the RX-7, to get to the trailer, to get it all out of here. So it's a bit comical. So definitely this and this have to go. I really don't have a use for it anymore. I'm not into collecting cars just because they might go up by $5,000 in 5 years' time or whatever. And the fact that Holden realistically stopped making the V8 back in 2016 or whatever it is, definitely doing this thing favours in terms of price. So it's definitely the time to sell. So headed over to get a Roadworthy, and yeah, the place across the road is, I think, let's just use the word thorough.
No, the guy with the rubber glove was surprisingly gentle.
In terms of what they did. Now, I dropped it off knowing that it needed both the rear brake lights and one of the front tyres was a bit average and it probably wouldn't pass, and they definitely didn't pass. But there's one thing else on this that failed the Roadworthy, which is a bit comical basically. So let's take a close look at that. All right, so here we are, front bumper bar of the Commodore, and here there's a little spoiler lip under here, and you can see that it's just come adrift there because it's just popped out because I've probably rubbed up against the guard or whatever. But it failed the Roadworthy because that was loose. And let me just show you how hard that is actually to put back in. If I just reach up here and, oh, that's fixed. Yeah, so the old zealots at the Roadworthy place there, obviously a bit too hard just to go boof and fix something. They just thought they'd tick that box and say that failed the Roadworthy because of that. So
mate, this is just impossible.
Bit comical, but yeah, it goes to show why some cars get Roadworthies, and some places have pretty much a reputation for being absolute sticklers for everything. But yeah, they've taken my money. Now, another point which was interesting was he said, as of last Monday, the Vic Roads Roadworthy process has changed in that normally it used to be you do a Roadworthy, do your initial check. Sure, if it fails like this one did, you would have 30 days to take it back. And when you took it back, they'd charge you 2/10 of nothing because it was the whole Roadworthy essentially. But no, not anymore apparently. So every single time they do a check, it's a check from scratch basically, and it gets submitted and electronically sent to you from Vic Roads, which means I paid $176 to get this checked, and without him informing me, of course, before, because I probably would have went home and done the two brake lights and the tyre myself before getting it checked. But that means next time I take it back to him, I've got to pay another $176 to get a check from scratch again. What? Which is a bit of bullshit, quite honestly. So, he's checked this car through. He knows it's going to take 2 seconds. It just needs 2 light globes and a tyre, and then it passes, and I'm going to get stung another $176. So, more bureaucratic nonsense. So someone's been hard at work at that in the background during lockdown or whatever for the Victorian government. So,
and get on the beers.
That's awesome. But yeah, as you can see, the old girl gets up now. One thing that this has obviously got a winch, but one thing that's really unnerving about sort of as an amateur like me driving something up onto this bed is it's so blind in terms of you can't see where the ramps are, and the incline is so steep that it's actually a little bit unnerving loading something up this high. If you were to drive it on, you really need to use the winch for it. So that's another reason why I've gone the route of what I have coming in a couple of weeks, which you'll see. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at with everything at the moment. The VF will go. I've got it on car sales, I think, now at the moment. So yeah, it's very ultra clean Redline edition, and it's been well maintained its whole life. So anyone in the market for a future classic that wants something, it's going there. But this is its replacement. So I'll do a separate video on the Jeep when I've had time to actually drive it, digest it, and enjoy it. But at the moment, I've owned the Jeep for 6 weeks, I think, and it's due for its 1,000k service, and I have done 350k's so far. So everyone knows the reason why here in Melbourne you wouldn't have done any kilometres, but whatever, it is what it is. Hopefully within about 3 or 4 weeks we are free to roam the state again.
These nuts. Got him!
And can give it a decent run because it has an electronic brake controller, and I've never used one of those before, so I'd like to just run over the whole thing and see how it pulls up, how it tows, how it brakes, how it drives. Driven it obviously those 320 k's, and initial impressions are I am very impressed. The main difference between this and the Jeep is that you are significantly lower to the ground in this, of course, and you sort of feel that in its center of gravity, but you know, I didn't buy the Jeep to be a shopping trolley and a circuit superstar. I bought it to haul cars because its towing capacity and all its creature comforts and that. So it'll be, I think for the purpose that I'm buying it for, I'm going to be very impressed with it. Already very impressed with the technology that's in it and all the creature comforts. So yeah, if you know anyone who's in the market for an F350 tow truck or a Series 1 VF Commodore Redline edition, hit me up. They are for sale until someone turns up with the dollars, and yeah, and then we'll see them go. Fortunately or unfortunately, whatever, we'll move on to the next portion of all of this. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.